Sweet. Hey family, thank you. Welcome to another episode of Young Hustling Entrepreneurs. Today we have Fotios and Alan, who are some amazing entrepreneurs who I've had the favor of knowing for the past couple of months. Just observing the way these guys move and really take action on a consistent basis really encourages me, especially as a young entrepreneur as well. So without further ado, I want to give it to Alan and Fotios. Thank you guys for being on the call.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks, man.
Awesome. So guys, could you guys just give like a really kind of brief description of who you guys are and basically, you know, how you guys have come into the entrepreneurial space?
Yeah, so we were both like into business from a pretty young age. Like we both started, I think even before we were teenagers, like 11, 12 years old, we were like, you know, doing some entrepreneurial stuff. And then we met in high school and, you know, as Alan knows, we hated each other. At the beginning, we both disliked each other, and then, you know, towards the end of high school, you know, we became really close friends, and we realized that, you know, there was something magical between us when we partnered on businesses, and we came together, and everything kind of, I don't know, just escalated and blew up from there exponentially. I think, you know, finding the right business partner is a very, very hard thing to do, and I'm very, very grateful to have found each other and to have experienced everything we've experienced. It's pretty cool. You know, as of those that don't know us, like, we run a pretty big tech agency. We've been featured on entrepreneur.com. We've had over 10,000 clients on our marketing services. We also run some of the biggest nightclubs in Melbourne. Those who don't know, we were co-founders of Mango Fridays, and we also later bought into Levels Melbourne. Also started a few other nightclubs such as Club Sacred and Unibash, which are a bit less well known, but and now we're investing in a variety of things. The next thing we've got going is TikToks.com, which is going to be, you know, the world's biggest TikTok growth service, and we're expecting that to go pretty big. Following that, we've got, you know, some stuff in the app space as well.
Wow. I love that introduction. And Alan, did you also want to, I guess, kind of give the viewers kind of just an overview of who you are as well? And how you and Forty became friends as well, even from hatred.
So as Forty mentioned, we didn't really like each other during high school. But like in the later years, we saw what we were doing. Like it was very like we could help each other. We saw that we could help each other, and
we didn't even like each other when we were doing business.
Huh? What?
We didn't even like each other at the start of business.
Yeah, we didn't actually. Yeah, because it was just like Forty just paid me for some services. That pretty much was like the start, and I was like, oh, I still don't like this kid and stuff like that. But then we kept like doing a few things together here and there, and then we're like, wow, like this could work really well. And as Forty explained, it just came together, and yeah, we just killed it.
What was the source of the hatred in the beginning though? Like, why did you guys have yet 7 beef, like fighting over a 12-year-old girl or something? Or what happened? Am I right?
It was kind of, I don't know, it was just with people around us and stuff, like stigmas and stuff like that, I reckon. And
I just thought it was smart ass. He still is though.
What did you say?
I thought you were a smart ass.
Yeah, and I thought he was just up himself, and like I didn't like him. So, yeah.
Now you guys
still are though. But
none of that's changed. But now we like.
Yeah, nothing's really changed, but yeah, still yeah.
No, I love that. I think it's really cool how, like, because the thing is, with a lot of business partners, people either meet kind of at different points, either in the very early beginning when they didn't realize they were going to work together, or when they're on the same path. But you guys have actually seen each other go through puberty together, so that's like a whole different connection, which is so like.
Yeah, we've known each other for like 6-7 years, so it's
7 years.
Yeah.
That's crazy. And what were you guys like in high school? So like, who was maybe the funnier one? Who was the quieter one? Who were the kind of, you know, alpha personalities in your friendship group? Like, what were you guys like in high school?
We were the lowest.
Yeah, look, man. Yeah.
We were the lowest.
Yeah.
Alan. I was just, I don't even know what I was, bro. I was just like avoiding everyone. Alan was always in his bedroom.
Yeah,
on his computer.
I went
don't know how to-
pretty introvert in high school.
Introvert.
But yeah, I learned a lot, so it helps. You know, all those years of just like being alone and just learning it helped.
Did you always have a hunger for learning, or was it just you had like an obsession to learn about kind of techie stuff and kind of marketing?
I think the goal was always just to get better, and I was enjoying it, and so it wasn't like, oh, I gotta get better, I gotta learn, I gotta learn. It was just, oh, I like this, so why not keep doing it? Like I got nothing else to do. I hated school, so like I had nothing else to do, so it just grew from there, and then like all that knowledge builds up over the years, and yeah, now it's like it's got to a good point where it's very easy to branch into like different areas of tech, and because I've got a lot of background knowledge, and yeah, just smash it out.
Yeah, I think the main thing is like where every 9 out of 10. I always say this all the time. 9 out of 10 businesses fail, and if you look at the reason they failed, it's always poor marketing. Every single time you can have the worst product in the world, and I've seen this time and time again. And if you market it properly, you can still have a successful business.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
I was spending like 2 years trying to build like amazing apps, but I wasn't marketing them properly, and they were just flopping. And then I'd see people reskinning an app in 2 hours and then making 600 grand a month off it. And I was thinking like, well, why did I spend so much time making this app so perfect and so great, and my app didn't blow up? And how come their little shitty reskin, that they made in 2 hours, that they just bought a template and changed the character? How come that blew up and mine didn't? And the answer was marketing. And if you have to look at why every business fails, it's always that. And I think, when you look at what me and Alan are both good at, it's marketing. We cover different areas of marketing. Alan's very good at the technological side. I'm very good at the relationship side and the and the sales side and that sort of stuff. And then when you put that together and you put together our network that we've acquired as well, we can essentially market anything, whether it's a nightclub, or a tech company, or a software, or an agency, or even a restaurant. Like we can do pretty much anything. And when you have
random one-off products.
Yeah, and when you have that kind of leverage where you can market any product and you can go hard, and you've got that network and you've got that expertise, you can essentially branch into any business you want. And that's what makes things really exciting. Because we've got the capacity to reach millions of people within a couple of hours, and we know how to do it time and time again, and we know how to make things go viral. So, that's our main leverage point. So, I believe if people want to get into business, the first thing you need to master is marketing. How are you going to sell your product? How are you going to market it to the masses? And marketing and sales come hand in hand.
Yeah, no, you're so right.
Yeah, and there's different approaches businesses take. Some people take the branding approach, and some people take the sales approach. The branding approach is where you focus on building your brand, and then you hope sales come from building your brand. And then you've got obviously the sales approach, which is more so a numbers game, where you're focusing on selling product for direct profit immediately from the get-go. I think you need to be able to do both. And create sort of a hybrid of the two approaches. I've seen a lot of people, come out with a new brand, and they're just pumping their brand everywhere, but they're making no sales because, and then they end up just losing all their money. So marketing and sales come hand in hand. You have to create a hybrid where you're making enough sales to keep fueling the marketing, but you're also, getting your brand out there in the meantime, and while still converting sales. It's a very difficult thing to master, but it's a formula that develops in your head over years of doing it.
Yeah, no, I think you're right, man. I think experience in that realm does the test of time. Like, I'm still definitely learning that. I remember in my first 6 months of my agency, literally what you just said is what I was struggling with. Like, I would have, a sudden streak of sales, and then, in terms of maintaining my marketing funnel, it wasn't always sustainable. I had to keep readjusting until I kind of found a sales and marketing funnel, which I kind of use in kind of like a drip model, which was able to be consistent. So I think what you mentioned is really important. Being able to create sustainability through both mediums is super important. But all that you've mentioned, both you and Alan, what was so different about you guys growing up, which led you to kind of have these kinds of thought processes where you now can both take such significant action and have such massive results, both under the age of 20? Like, how do you kind of develop your mind over time to achieve those sort of things? Alan mentioned a great one, which is learning, but what are any other add-ons which helped you guys achieve that?
I think I think it's very, 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 very difficult to find a business partner that has a mutual skill set to yours, where you're both, just as good as each other at your area, but that skill set doesn't overlap.
Yeah.
And then there's another layer.
That's what I was going to say.
Another layer to that partnership, and I think this is the most important layer of everything, and that's trust and loyalty. And you know what? Like, I'm not going to sit here and say that it was all, it was all through hard work. A lot of it, luck had to do with it. I'm not going to lie. We were lucky to have met each other, and that's a fact. But I've been screwed over in the past by multiple, business partners. Alan was kind of a lone wolf. But when I met him, I knew straight away, like through my past experiences, that I could trust him, and all the other boxes were there. Our skills didn't overlap. We both had different skill sets. Our skill sets complemented each other, and we were both, the best in our age group at the skill sets that we had each chosen. So when we came together, it was kind of just a magical partnership, and it was just success after success.
That's freaking powerful, man. And wow, like I think one thing that you guys have emphasized even really early on in this conversation is the power of picking the right person in a partnership. Like, I think
with relationships.
Same with relationships. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, same thing with everything. Like, you need to pick the right. If you choose the wrong person, that can destroy you. If you choose the right person, it can make you. And like, if you look at the universe and the laws of the universe, like everything overlaps into every single thing. Like, and picking the right person is something that overlaps in multiple departments, whether in business, personal relationships, everything. If you choose the wrong person can destroy you. The right person can make you. It's a very big thing, and you got to be very careful who you choose to go into business with. Like me and Alan, like people don't know this, but we have the same bank account. We have the same card that's connected to the same bank account. Wow. When he buys a top, or if he buys a watch, or if he buys a computer, I pay for half of that. Just like when I buy something, he pays for half of that. And not once have we ever questioned the other person's purchases, because we share everything, and that's just how we are, because we have that level of trust. When we buy, when we're doing obviously a lot of investments, even into property, it's all 50-50. Everything we do is 50-50. There's nothing, and even if he says, "Oh, Foti, we're going to do this business venture," there's not really much that your skill set can provide to this business venture. It doesn't matter. I still take 50%. Just as if I say to him, "Hey, Alan, I'm setting up this deal. I don't really need your technological experience or whatever to execute this deal," but he still gets 50%, because we get 50% of everything. Like, that's the precedent we've set, and that's what's worked for us. But it's very, very difficult to find someone like that, and to develop that relationship as well.
That's a brotherhood, man. That's what business is. Really, really kind of, like you said, create that really lethal bond that, 10, 20, 30 years from now, when you're still creating things and, taking over the world and, making amazing ventures and that and causing disruption, it's kind of that continual, like, I can always rely on that person, which, like you said, is super difficult to find, especially in our generation, man. With instant gratification, people want their share immediately. And I think one thing which the audience would love to hear from both of you is, what are some of the challenges which you've faced with extreme success at a young age?
Well, I don't really let people know personally, so it's just like, I always think like, what can we do better? How can we improve? What's next? So I'm never like satisfied with what we've got. So I've never really stopped and just been like, oh yeah, I'm all this, I'm all that. Like, it's never been like that for us.
Real. That's real, man. And I think again, that's a separator with young people particularly. It's how hungry you are. A lot of young people, they get the car that they want and then they stop. You know what I mean? And then their money goes to trash and the sales plummet. But audience as well, what's been some of the challenges that you faced being young and successful at such a young age?
For those who know me, like I don't think it's got into my head at all, to be honest with you. But I think it's caused a lot of trust issues, and I think that's in Alan as well, even though he doesn't really admit it. With people, you never really know who's being genuine.
Yeah.
And I've seen Alan experience a lot of that too. People that weren't interested in us before suddenly have a huge interest, and the only thing that's really changed is the money and everything that comes with it. Like why are you so interested in being friends with us now, and how come you weren't interested before? You still knew us before. We still had the same personality. Like, what's the fascination now? Why are you treating us differently? Over time, and when you see that from thousands and thousands of people, and you go from being treated a certain way to being treated a different way by those people, you start questioning pretty much everything. And I think, like I was saying before, celebrities experience it on a much, 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 much larger scale than what we have. But and like, you can kind of imagine the scale that they're experiencing it, rather than thousands of people. They're experiencing it from millions or billions of people. So it's like, that's essentially what makes them go insane. It's probably why you see a lot of them, have pretty big downfalls, because you just don't know who's genuine and who's not. I think that's the biggest problem that comes with it. Apart from that, obviously, money causes stress as well. It's a lot to manage, especially when you're running multiple businesses that aren't actually small. Like, they're not small businesses. They're pretty huge. So it's like, it's a lot of pressure for an 18 and 19-year-old to handle.
And how do you guys manage emotions and stress levels and mind health amidst the stress? What procedures do you guys have in place to kind of maintain your efforts over the long period of time?
It's a lot of caffeine.
Caffeine.
Energy drinks. Caffeine.
Go to the gym.
Working out helps. It's not really much. There hasn't been that much pressure, I guess, still, even though like we've done like pretty well so far. But they're just like, I haven't felt it extremely yet. I think with our upcoming projects we'll feel it more. But everything's been like smooth.
Yeah. No, that I get you, man. And basically, what kind of?
Cut out. Sorry.
Yeah, you cut out. What were you saying? Continue.
We've just had some road bumps here and there. But other than that, like, it's been pretty smooth, I'd say. And like, we're doing, like, it'll get harder. Definitely get harder. It's the bigger things we're gonna do. But so far it's been good. Yeah.
Do you think you're numb to the pressure?
Nah, definitely not. Definitely not. I reckon we'll definitely feel it with harder stuff.
Yeah.
More challenging objectives.
And what would both of your advices be to a young person? Let's just say someone who's 19. They're a year after high school, and they see you guys on Instagram. They see the Ty Lopez, they see the Gary V, and they're like, I want a piece of the success that they have had so young. How can I kind of take steps towards a reality in which I can make that possible? What would you kind of say the first thing they'd have to do in terms of, to get there? What would you guys kind of say the first step would be?
Just start doing something. Like, literally, it's like, it's as simple as that. Like, people have written books on getting started with business and shit. Like, it's so simple. Like, just pick something and do it. Like, once you start doing stuff, you won't stop doing stuff. Like, even if you fail, like, and chances are you're going to fail. Like, first business, you will fail. You're gonna fail. Like, I hate to break it to you, you're back where we were when we first started. But you know what? You're gonna fail. You're probably gonna fail again and again and again and again. But 9 out of 10 businesses fail. So start 10 businesses.
That's lit.
It's true. You only have to win once, and then that's it.
And you only have to be right once. Once you hit that one winning business, you've got all the momentum, and then you can start another one and another one and another one, and you'll win every single time. Our winner was Kingspan, which was our marketing agency. We hit really big on that. And then we were able to start nightclubs, and we were able to invest in property, and we were able to start TikToks, and we were able to collect data and start our data company, and we were able to, now we can pretty much do anything, and it succeeds. It just works because not only does the first successful venture make you a lot of money, which allows you to invest in other things, it also clarifies a formula in your head. And once you have that first success, so like I can't explain. I actually cannot explain this. Something clicks in your head, and you just know how to make things work. It's like I can't even write this in a book. I can't write it down. I don't know what it is. It just clicks in your head, and then all of a sudden you just have a gut instinct. It's like an intuition, and we just know what's gonna work. You just because you failed 30, 40, 50 times, but you had that one big one, and once you hit that one big one, all the failures start to make sense. Everything makes sense. You realize why this one succeeded, why the others didn't. And then it's it's just like the world just opens. So my advice is just get started. Do your first thing. Pick a skill, learn it, create a service, create a product. Just do it. Just do it. If you've got $500 in the bank, put it all into your business. You've got nothing to lose. What are you holding on to $500 for? You're 19.
Yeah, like when you're 19, 20.
Like who gives a shit? We started with $10. Like you can start an eBay business with $10. Order a few USBs, sell them, make back 30. Order some more, then start selling more products. It's very simple. Just do something.
I feel like at a young age, you've got nothing to lose and not much responsibility, so it's easy to jump into it.
100%, man. We don't have families and stuff like that, man. You know.
Like why? And they're sitting there writing business plans. Don't write a business plan. What are you writing a business plan for?
Thanks, man.
Get started. Just pick something and do it.
I think people are afraid of ego death, man. They don't want their ego to be destroyed.
You can have a business set up within like 4 or 5 hours. It's not hard. Like just look up ways to make money online on YouTube. There's videos with like 10 different ways to make money. Just choose one of them, start doing it, become really good at it. If you fail it, pick another one and just keep doing it.
And you mentioned Kingspan. Kingspan was your first major success, you and Alan. So like, can you just kind of break down to the public? Because I think a lot of people have heard of that company, but don't know exactly what it is. Can you just kind of break down what that company was and what it did for the population at large as well?
Well, this goes back. So Kingspan was initially, so it was actually a software that Alan had developed that grows your Instagram account and allows you to manage all your social media accounts on the back end. So Alan built the software. Alan, how old were you when he built it? You there?
Alan's faded into the abyss, man.
Yeah,
I think he's cutting out.
Yeah, he has. All good. Yeah.
Alan was like 15, 16 when he built it, but it was put on this really, he was really young, man. He was like coding from a young age, but like the problem was he couldn't sell the product to the masses because it was just put on this like ugly, like pink landing page. And, I was 16 at the time and I'd just been screwed over. And I was like, I was looking for my next business venture. And that's when I approached Alan and I said, "Oh, Alan, I want to buy this software off you." And I think I had like a few $1,000s in the bank to spend on it. And I said, I went up to him at school and I was like, "I'm going to buy it off you. I'll buy it off you for $1,500." And he just told me to like go fuck myself.
Yeah.
He said, "Yeah, man."
He's like, "Get stuff, bro." And then I'm like to him, "Bro, I'm like, either I pay you for it or I'm gonna pay someone to build it for me." And he goes, "Yeah, good luck, dickhead."
Yeah, I knew he was.
That's really deep.
I knew he was aerating.
And I'm like, and I approached him again the next day, and I'm like, "I want to buy it off you." I upped my offer. He's like, "No, you're not buying it off me. I'm not selling it to you." So I'm like, "Shit, what do I do?" So I said, "All right, let's meet in the library." So I said, "Look, I love your product, but I don't think you're selling it right. I can sell it for you. Let's create a company." So we started a company called Osboom. So that's what Kingspan was initially called. And that was doing all right.
It was different though. We were targeting small Australian businesses.
All Australian businesses.
Yeah.
And then we realized like we can go global with this. Like, why are we limiting ourselves to Australian businesses? So I had this domain name called Kingspan that I'd registered when I was 10 years old, and it just suited this business so well. So we started Kingspan. We created proper landing page, proper everything. And the initial business model was me going to Melbourne nightclubs and selling it to business people at nightclubs in Melbourne. And the goal, the KPI, key performance indicator, was 6 sales per week. So I had to make 6 sales every single week through going to clubs. And we were selling it for $99 a month with no free trial. And I was hitting that target pretty much every week. Some weeks I even hit like 8 or 9. Anyway, we got our first 100 clients, and just like that, within about 2.5 months, we became a 10K a month business, or a 5-figure a month business. And that was all pure profit because we were selling the software. And that's when we experienced our first level of success. Fast track, 2 years later, we've now had, it's around.
So, yeah, Fotios, you were telling us about Kingspan and Alan as well. I think Alan was cutting out.
Yeah, so we got to a 5-figure a month business. So we're making $10,000 a month through essentially just me going to nightclubs, selling it, and then Alan providing service on the back end, setting up all the clients, and then also improving our operational systems. So that's where our skill sets, as I was saying before, came together to create a winning funnel. And then we expanded. So we invested that money into creating more global and more scalable sales funnels. So essentially, rather than just hitting Melbourne, we started hitting the United States through multiple channels. And then now we've scaled this to a 6-figure a month business, which is like insane. And it's being professionally valued in the multi-millions, which is crazy. And that's become our bread and butter. And using that leverage, those marketing tools, and that income, we've branched out into other business ventures, which we're more well known for, which is like Mango Fridays and the nightclubs, and all that sort of stuff, which is also quite lucrative, but not as scalable as tech companies, which is why we're also now focusing on making more tech companies. Nightclubs are great for they offer another side to life, which is and they also have an educational purpose to them as well, because whilst you're also learning the corporate world through technology and through selling to clients and through meeting with serious corporate people, you're also learning kind of the other side of Melbourne through the clubs, and you're meeting different other types of people and learning that side of business as well. And when you understand both sides of business, you become quite lethal, and you can really talk to anyone and really do anything. And you have a very, very big network in all types of areas, whereas politicians, business people, and the rest.
That's so incredible, man. Like, I guess to get to that kind of diversity in your network, it seems like you started with basically enhancing your skill, which was the ability to sell, and basically showing that to the marketplace. What basically tips, because in my opinion, at least, everything is sales, like you mentioned before, relationships, friendships, business, partnerships. How are you able to sell so efficiently at such a young age?
I wasn't always good at it. I learned a lot from people around me. I networked with a lot of business people. I don't know. I really just understood what made people tick. I knew what to say to want people to buy. And I still do, because I always just reverse engineer. I say, what would I want to hear? If someone were pitching me to this as a business owner, what would I want to hear from them? What would sell me? And essentially, I think a lot of that starts with the product. You need to have features in the product that are sellable. If your product's not sellable, then it's not going to work. And that's a really, really key thing. If your product's not sellable, like, it's just, you can't sell it. Even in the apps for brands, our software, we've got all these features that we've specifically implemented to sell to different markets. Because I'll go to a restaurant owner and I'll ask a restaurant owner, if you were to build a mobile app, what features would help your restaurant? They go, oh, we want rewards. We want push notifications. We want to send out to our audience. We want this, we want that. I go, all right. So I'm going to include these features in my software. Now I can sell to every restaurant owner. All right, cool. Let me approach a beauty or cosmetics girl that does, makeup for a living. What would you want in an app? She goes, oh, it's really hard. It's really hard showing my clients my portfolio. It's really hard, showing my clients my different skill set. It's hard getting bookings. All right, I'm going to make all that stuff easier. Here's what I'm going to do for you. She goes, oh, that's awesome. I will totally buy that. If she would buy it, then everyone else would as well. So it starts with your product, and then being able to pitch it. That's a whole nother thing in itself. But if your product's not sellable, then it doesn't matter what pitch you have. You'll never be able to pitch it.
Wow. No, you're right. I think there's one thing, being able to actually have the confidence in the pitch, because oftentimes people are super skilled at actually knowing the word and the script of the pitch, but they don't have the faith, like you said, in the product and the service. One second, man. I think Alan's having connection issues. Let me text him real quick. Yeah, all right. He said continue on. He said he's having connection issues. Nah, you're so right, man. Like, sales, bro, like, that's something, especially during this corona period, like, of time, I've just been, because for me, like, even though I'm relatively new to the business scene, I've only been involved for about 2 years. One thing that I do love to learn about is sales, because every time you feel like you know enough, there's so much more. There's 2,000 levels more to it. There's detonation, there's modulation, there's, posture, there's confidence. And it's also, like you said, just having the faith in what you're selling. And I think that's a rarity to have a true salesmanship. I think is such a rarity, which I think is a blessing that you've kind of been able to like master it at such a young age, so that's really rare, man. And have you ever thought of even teaching like sales to like people when you get older?
Yeah, I help my friends all the time. Like, I had a friend call me, like, friends call me all the time. They say, I'm preparing this proposal. How do I sell it better? You can't, like, one thing I always teach people, and you can apply this, you can't use a cookie cutter approach in sales. A lot of people try using a cookie cutter approach where they present the same proposal to multiple businesses. You can't do that. Like, when I was making cold calls, I was like, obviously a cold call never really converts at a high rate, but I was actually converting a fair few. And Alan knows this. He was sitting there watching it. And the reason I'd convert so many is you typically get a cold call and they go, hi, I'm, Fortios from Kingspan. I do marketing services, blah, blah, blah. I saw your website come up and I thought that you would love, what we've got to offer. That's never going to work, because straight away you're selling them shit. It's not customized. You sound like a scam. And they're going to say, you've got 5 seconds to get their attention. So they're going to say, get stuff, boom, and you've already lost them. But what I was doing was, hi, I'm Fortios. I actually just saw you on Instagram. I've actually been looking into your business. I went on your website. I actually really love what you did with that charity last week, that charity event at the Belfast Festival. That was insane. Like, you guys have even been growing your following. Like, I've noticed you've gained 2,500 followers. I saw that was about a 500 follower increase from last month. So, I've noticed your social media is blowing up. To be honest with you, like, one of my jobs as I actually run a marketing agency, but my job is to actually scout businesses and see who would be, suitable for partnering with us. And, I've seen your business and it has really high growth potential. I've actually really studied everything that you've been doing in the past few months. I'll tell you a few of the things. And like, I've even got a few suggestions. If you'd like to talk for 5 minutes, I've got a few suggestions for your social media. I don't want to charge you anything for them. I'll just give them to you for free. And then I'll even give you a free trial on our marketing services and tell you how our products can potentially benefit you. I'm here to work with you for the long run. So I'm even going to give it to you for free. I actually just want to work with you. I want to partner together because I actually see a lot of potential in what you're doing. And I'll actually look into their business for 5 minutes before I've called them. And straight off the bat, I'll start mentioning shit like, they're already thinking, how does this guy know all this shit? Like, and I'll straight away think of, 5 suggestions for that business. I'll say, for your next charity, you could have done this a bit differently. For your next thing, you could have done this a bit differently. You know what you should have done? You should have had some of our influencers come to your event. You would have gotten a lot more exposure. I think you would have gained 1,000 followers. So I'll start giving them free suggestions. And just like that, they're thinking, this guy's just called me. He's already given me value. I haven't even paid for anything. He knows his shit. Like, these suggestions are really good. Hey, maybe I should try his services out. You know, as opposed to that cookie cutter, you know, hi, I'm Fotios from Kingspan. We service over 10,000 clients. No one gives a shit what you do. So how are you going to help them? If you can provide value for free, people will naturally, you know, subconsciously, they'll even feel guilty for not choosing you because you've given them so much already. You know what I mean? I think that's the number one thing in sales. Don't be greedy. Don't chase the sale. Help the client first. And even if you don't get them, big deal. You know what I mean? Help as many. You've still got them as a network because you've helped them. They're never going to forget that. I help people every single day for free. People say, "Oh, why aren't you charging for your consulting services?" I say, "Charging for what?" You know why? But when I need a photographer, he'll call me. I'll call him and I'll say, "You know, hey man, I need a photographer." He'll go, "Brother," he go, "Thank you for everything you've helped me with. You know, you've done everything for me. You've given me all this free advice. You've got a free photographer tonight. I'll do anything for you." You know what I mean? So even though I didn't get them as a client, I got them as a network. And you don't know what that leads to. One day they might know someone that you need. And you'll say, "Hey, bro, you know that guy you've been hanging out with a lot? I was wondering if you could connect me to him." And I guarantee you, if you've helped them for free and you've provided them with free value, they're going to give it to you 10 times out of 10. Because they need you and they know that you know your shit and they're going to want you there to always provide them with help. So, you know, a lot of business is, you know, smart business often depends on it's a mutual exchange of services. And those services aren't always paid for. And you need to understand that, you know, money isn't the only commodity. It's also time, it's knowledge. There's a lot of other commodities that you can gain from specific deals. It's, you know, clout even is a commodity. You can leverage clout for all sorts of things. Like if you've got, you know, a following of 20,000 people, you've got a new product coming out. Hey man, I've got this new product coming out. Who wants to join my team? Just like that, you've got 200 affiliates ready to go. See that?
Dude,
those 200 affiliates, if they make an average of $4 each, you've made 800 sales. If you're starting a nightclub, you've got 300 promoters ready to go. So, you know, you need to understand that when you're making deals and when you're trying to sell, that not always about the quick dollar. And that's the reason Alan and I have a network of thousands of people that we can hit up at any time and get anything. And I'll do it like that because those people, when they come to our clubs, we take care of them. You know, when they ask for advice, we take care of them. Don't charge for everything.
That's powerful. And dude, I think in the last 2 minutes, you just gave us like 200 gems, man. Thank you. That's really good advice. You're right. Not all exchanges have to be currency. That's really, really powerful. And I guess like with all that knowledge, man, like how have you been able to actually, you know when someone's truly trying to give you something of equal value? Not that you're necessarily looking for it, but in terms of like even, a new friendship or a relationship or, a new affiliate project, how do you kind of gauge whether or not someone's trying to take more than give? Do you kind of have that issue come up a lot, or are you just typically a very giving personality?
I tend to give to everyone, but there's one thing you got to give in a way where you're not being a pushover. And there's a very fine line between being a pushover where you're just giving and being taken advantage of.
Yeah.
You got to do it in a way where you still stern, still hold your ground, and you still have boundaries. And you've got to gauge the other person's character as well. What type of person is this? Are they a user? Are they someone that's going to take advantage of you? Are they a bad person? You don't want to help bad people. And that's a whole nother, being able to read people is a whole nother ball game. And that comes from meeting thousands of people. I recommend, if you're young, if you're standing at a coffee shop, talk to the person next to you. Like so many people, they're scared to talk to people. Talk to everyone. Talk to tradies. Talk to lawyers. Talk to even, criminals. Who gives a shit? Like, talk to everyone you can talk to, because you need to learn every single character. You need to be able to put people in categories within 2 minutes of meeting them.
Yep.
Every single person, even me, even you, even Alan, every single person falls into a category, right? I can't list all these categories. I can't, right? There are personality types, obviously, but they're very broad. But every person fits into a category. Now, these categories, they develop in your head. over years of meeting as many people as you can. I'd go to nightclubs and I'd meet 200-300 people a night there, and I'd have a conversation with every single person in that nightclub when I was 18. That's when I was getting out of my comfort zone. And the more conversations you have, the more you can say, oh, this guy's a bit similar to this guy that I know. Oh, they kind of fall into the same category. Okay, now I understand him a little bit better because I understand this guy, and I can make a lot of comparisons. And then you can start kind of figuring people out, what their intentions are, all that sort of stuff. And that's when you can distinguish who the right people are to help and who are the wrong people to help. And believe me, and in general, you should just be a giving person, but don't get taken advantage of. Don't invest, hours and hours and hours into the wrong people, because you're just wasting your time. Those people are just going to take advantage of you and treat you like shit. So, you got to be able to categorize who's good and who's bad. And that comes from meeting as many people as possible and really, 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 getting to know all those different types of people.
You touched on that being out of your comfort zone initially when you were 18, going through nightclubs. Would you consider yourself basically on a scale of introversion, ambiversion, or extroversion? Would you say you were naturally more extroverted, or were you just someone who just loves to try and challenges? Where do you fit on that scale?
Well, my job was selling Kingspan, so I had to meet everyone in the club and see who I could sell it to.
Yeah.
So that was my job. Like if you meet 200 people, during the week you'll hit them all up, and 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 of them will buy your product. But I think naturally, I think I'm pretty extroverted. But I did lack a lot of confidence when I was younger. Mainly because like when I was younger, I had a lot of pimples. Was one thing. And I think that made me pretty introverted. Like I didn't, I was scared to talk to people and stuff. But when my face cleared up and I realized, hey, I can actually buy clothes and actually look good and go out and I gained that confidence. I think my naturally extroverted side came out, and I think the same thing happened with Alan. Alan was very pimply, long hair, very unkempt. As soon as he started dressing up, yeah, bro, you look like shit.
You can hear that now.
Oh, you got me dirty here, Dan.
I told him, I said, bro, we're going to Zara right now. I'm like, we're going to spend, here's the company card. We're getting you clothes. Getting you a haircut. And as soon as that happened, he started going out, meeting girls, and now his network's huge. He started meeting girls, meeting people, talking to everyone. He's very confident now. Which was, I think he was also, an introvert that was also naturally extroverted. People that are introverted, go out, make yourself look good. Get a haircut, get some nice clothes, invest in yourself, because it will pay off later. Looking good makes you feel good. And when you feel good, you perform at your best. So don't look at clothes or haircuts or stuff like that as a waste of money. It's not a waste of money. It's never a waste of money to invest in, healthy skin, getting all that stuff done and feeling good about yourself and feeling like the best version of yourself. That's when you really, really succeed.
Yeah, no, that's sweet. Alan, can you hear us now?
Yeah.
Oh, sweet. Do you want to add to that, man? I was actually going to shoot you a text saying we could do a private one-on-one video if it's not working, but it's good that you're back on. Do you have anything to add to what he said?
What was the start of that question? Because that was...
Yeah. So he was just talking about Kingspan and basically a lot of the lessons that he got from it, from confidence to sales, and how sales is a fundamental skill, which we both agree on is the premise for winning in life. And then he kind of went into confidence and how he kind of came out of his shell. So what's your take on coming out of your shell within the sales?
I think it's when everything started.
We can't hear you.
Cut out.
Tough.
Oh, keep cutting out.
We can hear you now.
Bro, connect to your hotspot.
All good. All right.
Yeah, I think Alan, like from what I saw, Alan gained confidence when everything started succeeding, because I think he felt successful, and he felt good about himself, and he cleaned himself up as well. So from what I saw, that's what from what I saw. He out of all people has come further than anyone I've ever met. from where he was 2 years ago, you wouldn't even recognize him. So
Really?
nah. So I'm proud of him every day for that.
And I think that's one of the things I love about entrepreneurship. You're forced to become the best version of yourself, because the thing is, your
Yep.
business is a reflection of your character. Like if you're like someone, like I used to be someone who wasn't necessarily, what's it called, like where like I could kind of be on like a high of confidence, and then as soon as I drop, it would become evident. And then I realized, even though that was an old tendency, I realized that happened in the first couple months of my business. Like, it's a reflection of your core values and who you are as a person. So, if someone can really grow themselves spiritually, mentally, physically, then they make a lot of money as well, and it happens quick. And you guys are the perfect testament of that. You guys worked hard. Like, I haven't even worked with you guys for that long, only on the Project Sacred, but even when you guys are posting at like 4 a.m., like I used to think I was crazy doing that on the occasion. You guys do that on a weekly, nearly daily basis. You know what I mean? So people don't realize what it takes to truly be about winning, So respect to you guys. And basically, I wanted to ask you as well. So this is one of the story questions that I wanted to ask both of you guys. If I was 16 and I'm my first year of senior high school, and I love entrepreneurship, and I see these successful guys, and I want to get an idea of how many hours a week I need to invest into this game to have as much success as you guys did, in 3-4 years by the time I'm 19, 20. What would you tell me?
How much is your competition investing?
That's a good question.
Right?
Yeah.
Because remember, if you're going into business, if you're starting a marketing agency, remember my face. You're going up against me. Right? And I'm working 16 hours. And Alan's working 16 hours. So you're going up against us. Right? We're your competition here. And whatever industry you're in, there's people like us working 16 hours. And they've got a smart team behind them. Right? So you got to think, how much is your competition working and how am I going to beat them? Now, you're in high school. So you're limited on time. So now another thing comes in, right? How do you work smart, not hard? Because if you're going to beat your competition, now you got to work smart.
Yeah.
You got to work both smart and hard. So that's a tricky one. I would say figure out what your goals are. If your goal is to be an entrepreneur and you want to start your own business, I'd say invest 1 to 2 hours of your free time on Skool. Keep Skool to a what you need to do basis. One way to do that is, every single year, VCAR, so Victoria, if you're in Victoria, VCAR releases study design. Legally, your school in year 11 and 12 isn't allowed to test you on anything that's not in that study design. So literally print that study design and literally just learn whatever is on it. Don't do these stupid bullshit activities teachers give you. Don't do these freaking little YouTube videos and shit. Download that study design. Literally just learn what's on there, because they legally cannot test you on what's not on that study design. And often they give you activities that don't even relate to the study design. And kids spend, 5-6 hours a day studying shit that's never even on the SAC or the test. So do the bare minimum to get the best result in school. All the other hours of your day, don't go out partying. Don't go sitting there watching Netflix. Invest it in your business.
Yeah.
And try to spend at least 6 to 8 hours a day on your business. If you can do that, I think that's a pretty good start in high school. We were I would usually get home. I'd probably spend 2 to 3 hours, either going for walks, doing a bit of homework, blah, 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 in year 12. And then the rest of that, so the other, I'd be up till maybe 2 in the morning during school, would be just doing business. And then after high school, you can make a decision of what you want to do. But I still always recommend getting an ATAR score and still finishing school. You still want to have that option available, because at the end of the day, power is options. The person with the most options has the most power. And I would never give advice that limits anyone's options. It's about having the most options possible, and options come from knowledge and from, and obviously finishing school gives you options that you wouldn't otherwise have, that you may need in the future. Even in your business, one day you might want to work with politicians. You might be an app developer. The government hires you to build an app. First question they're going to ask you is, where did you graduate? And that might be the difference between you getting the deal or not. Even with conservative people, there are a lot of people there that are conservative and have, conservative beliefs. So, when you're dealing with those people, they're going to ask you those questions. Where did you graduate? Oh, I dropped out in year 9. They're going to say, oh, well, I really value school, blah, 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 blah. And they're going to have a predetermined perspective on, what was I saying?
We're talking about mindset, man. We're talking about just like the difference. Really, you were talking about how if I was a 16-year-old kid and I wanted what you had and the steps to get there, you were saying that you were suggesting to work at least 6 to 8 hours a day if you're in high school, you're in year 10, year 11, but that you guys are putting in 16 hours a day. You were talking about that and the grind. So I guess to touch on that and for you to, I guess, expand on that, if you could map out what would be in those 16 seconds, what would it be like? Like, are you segmenting typically sections to operations and then action, or is it just different every day?
I think, you've just got to work your ass off. Like, you can't succeed by being average and just doing the average shit. You're just going to end up in an average position. What you put in is what you're going to get out. If you think you're just going to do school and study and work a part-time job, at Coles or something, and that's going to lead you to being successful, and living a beyond average life, then you're probably wrong. Unless you win the lottery or something, it's not going to happen. And even in the corporate world, you've got people, my dad's got, 6 degrees and shit like that. And even, these people are being made redundant just like that, because, they're in companies and they haven't learned how to make money. They've just learned, the system, and they're put in the system, and often the system fails you. And I'll tell you something about the system, most of the time you end up trapped. A, B, you end up, when you receive your first paycheck, you're trapped in that lifestyle, and you never really get to live past a certain point. And that's just the ugly truth. You're always on the same salary. You move up a little bit up the corporate ladder, and, you never really get to experience making, millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars unless you're CEO. But, not many people get to that. Let's be honest. So, if you want to live an above average lifestyle and make a lot of money and live on your own terms and work your own hours, you're going to have to do stuff from a young age that you don't necessarily want to do. And you're going to have to do stuff that requires a lot of work. Like, you're in for a big journey. You're going to get screwed over. You're going to lose money. You're going to be depressed. You're going to feel, you're going to feel like, you're going to feel like there is no future at times. You're going to want to give up at times. But I mean, the only thing that really distinguishes those that win and those that lose are the ones that quit.
Yeah.
If you never quit and you keep doing shit, you'll be right. You'll eventually be right. You only have to be right once. You'll eventually hit it. Trust me. Like, it's inevitable. Like, if you keep pumping shit out and you're working like a dog for 5 or 6 years and you're learning and you're learning from each failure, on the 6th or 7th year, something will change. Screw will go. Something will click in your head.
Yeah.
And just like that, your life will change overnight. It will change overnight, but, people won't see the 6 years that went before that overnight change, and yeah, that's the funny part. But that's usually how it works. Usually the only way to, there's a quote, the only way to get rich is to get rich quick. But before getting rich quick is, years and years and years of losing. And then one day everything turns around. But if you quit, then that day might never come.
Wow. That's powerful, man. And I guess touching on that, what's been the biggest failure that you and Alan, or even you personally, have encountered being on that journey? Because it's not easy being where you guys are,
It's a trajectory. It's just it's just a journey, and everyone's the same. That's why I say start early, start young. Start your trajectory as young as possible so you can finish it as young as possible, so you can get to the rich point as young as possible. Start when you're young, because you're beginning, even if you start at 13, and someone that starts at 30 versus someone that starts at 13 is still going to learn the same shit. They're going to have that same first failure, even when they're 30. You've just escalated the process 17 years. You're 17 years in front of the guy that started at 30. But I think the biggest failure is, what was my biggest, man, I failed. I probably failed more than anyone you'll ever meet, to tell you the truth. Everyone sees like now everything we do just ends up succeeding, but I've probably failed close to 50 plus times, man. I can't really pinpoint what the biggest one was, but I was flopping everything. I was failing over and over and over and over. Like, I lost money, I lost time. I spent like a year plus on certain businesses that ended up making me nothing, going nowhere. And I was grinding for a very long time. But that day, like I said, when you have that one success, everything clicks. And all of those failures make sense. And then you become like unstoppable. And then that day is, and then when that day comes, like, you just understand how to make money. You have an intuition for what works. It all just makes sense. And I can't even write this formula down. I actually cannot write it down.
It's a feeling.
You just know, like, I can look at a business, I can look at a brand, I can look at a business, and I just know, is this going to sell or not? I just know straight away. I can tell you straight away. And I predict it right all the time. Like, I tell people, yeah, this is going to work. And it works. And then I tell other people, this is going to flop. They do it anyway. Because I always say to them, do it, but it's not going to work. And I'm very, very accurate with this, just because I've seen so many things fail. But you're only going to get there through failure. Like, you're only going to get to that point through failing a lot, because that's what makes you understand. Because from all those 50, 60, 70, whatever businesses, I started so many. Out of all those businesses that failed, I took something from every single one of them. This one failed because of poor branding. This one failed because the funnel wasn't right. This one failed because the product wasn't in demand at that time. This one failed because I didn't use current trends in my marketing campaign. This one failed because blah, blah, blah. There's thousands of factors, and they all develop in your head. You can't even write them down.
Wow. And
it's like a formula. So then you can look at something and they all just go, and then out comes an output. Yeah, this is going to work. Or no, this can't work because of a lesson I learned 3 years ago.
And what's been the biggest win? The biggest win, if you could, and because the thing is, if you could fail that much, even if there's a little bit of cream on the top, which is the winning, like, that feels good because the whole cake was just a failure. So if you could pinpoint one or two of your biggest wins, what would they be?
We've got less than a minute remaining as well, but I think the biggest win was scaling Kingspan to 6-figure a month company in just a few months, like, which is ridiculous money.
Yeah.
And then also running the biggest nightclubs, owning the biggest nightclubs in the whole of Melbourne, doing 4,000 people every week. Going to that is insane. Like, I can't even. It's hard to comprehend.
Forty, look, you're a freaking champion, man. Like, I'm gonna wrap it up just because of Zoom and its regulations. But one more thing, what's one secret you want to tell people that they don't know about your success and how you got there? One secret. You can wrap it up in one sentence.
Think of it, and there's I don't know. Fuck, I actually can't.
Relax. No stress. No stress.
Just never give up.
Never give up. Perfect. That's fine, man. Look, I'm going to cut it off just because we're about to dip. Forty, thank you so much. Look, for people that want to learn more about Forty and Alan and their amazing successes and what they're doing with the future and other big things that they're coming up with next, look at them on Instagram and Facebook. Forty, anywhere else they should find you?
Instagram, Facebook, FOTIOS.